Hi, my name is Todd Nienkerk, CEO of 4 Kitchens. Well, back in 2006, me and 3 friends had recently graduated or were about to graduate from the University of Texas at Austin, where we had all been working on the student humor publication at UT. We all really enjoyed working together and we didn't want that to end. So we decided that we wanted to start a publication for all of Austin in the same kind of vein as the student humor publication. So we created a company to publish that paper. We called it That Other Paper. We launched that in 2006, and we needed a name for the company that published That Other Paper. Around that time, we were looking around, attending these open source meetups and community things because we had built this website for That Other Paper using a software platform called Drupal, open source content management system. And we were attending one of these meetups and we met this guy who had built this giant co-working facility out in the forest outside of Austin. And he had this T1 internet connection, which was a big deal at the time in 2006. And so he asked us to come out to this co-working facility and check it out. So we went out there and we checked this thing out, and it was this sort of big 3-story Ewok village kind of thing that he had built out in the woods. And this facility had all of these different workspaces, but it had these 4 individual living areas as well. And there were these 4 individual founders of this company, and each of these living areas had 4 kitchens. So we decided to name the company after the workspace that we intended to move into. We called it 4 Kitchen Studios. We eventually dropped the studios part, so we just called it 4 Kitchens for short. So we didn't actually move into that space at any point. We wound up just all living together in an apartment in South Austin. But the point of the name 4 Kitchens is collaboration, being scrappy, being creative, and just doing cool stuff with open source software and contributing back to your community. What has surprised me the most about the change and growth within 4 Kitchens in the last 18 years is how much we have been able to accomplish given really humble roots. Honestly, the fact that within 2 or 3 years of starting this company, we were working with some huge brands. We were working with The Economist magazine, for example. We were migrating these massive websites on these incredibly complicated platforms, and continuing to do that for 18 years is still kind of mind-boggling, honestly. And getting to work with all of these incredibly smart people, both within 4 Kitchens, but also within the communities that we serve, like the Drupal community, the web community, design community, and of course our clients. All of that just honestly is so humbling and mind-boggling to this day when I stop and think back on what we've been able to do. Well, the truth is I was never really all that good at web development in particular. I was always a pretty mediocre developer. I did it out of necessity. I learned how to build Drupal modules, for example, because I had to. I had to do that stuff on projects, on client projects. I was okay at it, at best. But the things that I was really good at were building the business, selling the work, leading the team, and it didn't take very long to realize that that's what the company really needed, and that's where my strengths were, and that's where I really needed to lean into the business. What was not in place for many years was having a company of a certain size that would necessitate having somebody in a dedicated role like that. So it took many years of having to sit in many seats and wear many hats until we got to a certain size where I could get out of some of those seats and take off some of those hats and focus on fewer and fewer things, but focus on them more deeply. That's a great question, and it's a fair question. What exactly do I do every day? My role is pretty unique at the company because on the one hand, I have some very well-defined accountabilities. And on the other hand, I am brought in as needed to do pretty much anything that needs to be done at any given moment. If there's a problem that needs to be solved, or some kind of crisis, or some new project that needs to be handled, or some short-term opportunity that we need to jump on, those are all things that I need to take care of at a moment's notice or just handle. Meanwhile, there are all of these other things that involve long-term strategy, long-term financial planning and thinking ahead many, many years. On the well-defined accountability side of my job, I have to be thinking about what the business looks like more than a year ahead. And quite honestly, it's really impossible to try to conceptualize what the business will be like in 10 years or even really 5 years. So 3 to 5 years is really the window that I'm trying to shoot for in a business that's as dynamic and rapidly changing as ours. So what does it mean to try to think ahead? I have to be trying to predict what our clients are going to be asking for and needing in 3 to 5 years. So it's looking at market trends, it's talking with other agencies about what they're doing, it's looking at our clients' competitors and what direction they may be headed in. But most importantly, I need to make sure that we remain relevant and competitive so that we have a really strong, really robust, really maintainable business. And that's the thing that really, if anything, keeps me up at night. It's that. It's thinking about what kinds of services, what kind of team configuration, meaning the types of services and the expertise and the people and the roles and team sizes and things like that, do we need at our company to be really marketable, really in demand in the future? That's the thing that I really need to be paying attention to long term. In the meantime, I'm constantly dealing with this swirl of stuff that's happening short term that I have to try to balance with maintaining that long term view. There are a lot of qualities that make a great web chef, but a few that I personally really value are humility, not thinking that you're overly smart. We're all smart in our own ways. We're all very talented in our own ways. When you have an ego about that, it's just so destructive to an organization and to a team. It really just rots an organization. Passion for what you do, really enjoying what you do, but more importantly than enjoying what you currently do, a passion for getting better at what you do, always trying to improve your skills. Because when I am trying to figure out what we're going to do in 3 to 5 years, I'm not doing that alone. I'm doing that by asking our team, what are you interested in? What are you working on? What do you think is going to happen? What are some of the articles you're reading or the videos you're watching or the technologies that you see coming down the pipe? I really rely on all of the web chefs to feed some of that knowledge to me. Otherwise, I can't do this alone, obviously. And finally, the ability to work well directly with clients is very important. Everybody on our team works directly with clients, and that's not entirely unique in our industry, but it's pretty unusual. So many agencies in our space tend to put up a wall between the team and the client where there are maybe 1 or 2 people that will interface directly with the client, and then there's this wall, and then the team is behind that wall, that 1 or 2 people. So there might be an account manager, a project manager, a strategist or something, and then there's this sort of invisible team behind them that the client never interacts with. And that's not how we operate. We operate almost the opposite way, where everybody back here on the team is also working directly with the client all the time and is totally visible to the client. So everybody needs to be really good interacting directly with the client and their team. We are a strongly values-driven organization. Our core values are called the way of the web chef, and we live by those values. We have truly operationalized those values, which means we do more than put them on a wiki page and forget about them. We do more than print them on a sign and put them somewhere and occasionally look at them. We discuss them constantly. We have people share kudos on Slack on a regular basis and cite individual values, stating this is the value that this person exemplified when doing this or that thing. We reward and recognize people specifically based on those values. And during our quarterly conversations every quarter with people, we review people based on each of our core values. So it's a big part of the culture at Four Kitchens. And we're also driven by a really strong mission. And that mission is, to put it simply, to set knowledge free. We really want to work with organizations that are mission driven and that are also dedicated to sharing knowledge, giving back to their communities. That might be through using open source software or working in industries like higher education, nonprofit, publishing. The best part of my day, the thing that I look forward to the most, is when I have a chance to interact with some group of web chefs or the team as a whole. And I'm fortunate enough that at least every week I have an opportunity to do that. The reason why I continue to do this, the thing that I really want to do outside of the concept of making websites, outside of doing the work that we do for universities and nonprofits and all of that, I want to run a company that I would want to work for. I've worked at places where I felt like a cog in a machine, or I've resented the policies because they seem arbitrary and strange and just kind of stupid. And I don't like that. I want to work at an organization where the policies and the rules not only make sense, but feel like they exist to empower people and make people's lives better. So that's what I want to do. If you're interested in learning more about 4Kitchens, you can do that at 4kitchens.com. If you'd like to follow me and what I'm doing, you can look me up on LinkedIn. And we also have a podcast called The Future of Content that I host. You can find that on all major podcasting platforms. Just search for The Future of Content.